Hello, it's time for Math with Beth. Um, we are going to solve quadratic functions with the quadratic formula. So, step one, when using the quadratic formula, is to know it. So there it is. It is another way to solve an equation. So you could also use factoring to do this, but some equations can't be factored. So this is another method if you can't factor or if you don't like factoring. So make sure everything is on one side of the equation. So you again need to have your zero over there. Make sure it's in order so you don't accidentally mix up the A, B, and C. A is always with the x squared, B is the number with the x, and C is the constant, the number that's by itself. So x equals negative b. It's better to think of that as the opposite of b because some students think there has to be a negative here. It just depends. So in our problem, do you see that b is -2? So when I go to do the opposite of b, it's going to be +2 in this problem, plus or minus the square root, b squared, so that's -2 squared, so that will always become a positive because even if it's negative, you're squaring it, minus 4 times A times C. Just put everything in very carefully, all over 2 times A. Now you start working on this with order of operations. So you're definitely going to start in that square root sign. -2 squared is +4. If I have a -4 times a 3 times a -5, which is basically what this is, two negatives are going to turn all of that into a plus. So now I really just need to think what's 4 times 3 times 5. So 12 times 5 is 60. And that is all over 2 times 3, which is 6. So basically, if there's only one negative, this will be a minus here. But if you have two negatives like we did, it will become a plus. So now we just keep on going. So there's more to do inside that square root sign. Square root of 64 is a nice number, so we can keep on going. And now we can even finish this by actually doing the plus and the minus, because what it means is there's two separate answers. So one of my answers is 2 plus 8 over 6. So that would be 10 over 6. And my other answer is 2 minus 8 over 6. So we have two separate answers, and I can reduce both of those. This one, all I can do is divide by 2 on the top and the bottom. So that becomes 5 over 3. But -6 over 6 is -1. So that is my final answer, which means these are my solutions. These are my roots. These are my x-intercepts, just like when we factor and solve. Okay, let me do one that's not going to turn out quite as nice. First, notice that this one is not ready to go. So I need to move something. So I'm going to move the 3 so it's all on the same side. Now I'm ready. If you need to take a second to identify your A, your B, and your C to make sure you don't miss anything, and then you can get started. X equals the opposite of B. So again, that's going to turn this positive. Plus or minus -7 squared is going to become a positive 49. Minus 4AC. So again, we're going to be adding in here. All over 2 times A, which is 2 this time. So 7 plus or minus, we have 49 plus 24, because that's really an 8 times 3, all over 4. 7 plus or minus 73. So this time, the square root of 73 is not a nice number, and I can't even reduce it by taking out some kind of a pair. So we're going to have two completely separate answers, and we can separate this just in case we could reduce maybe the 7 over 4, but we can't. So we end up having 7 over 4 plus square root of 73 over 4, and then 7 over 4 minus. So that's all we can do. If we went any further, we would need a calculator and we would get decimals. So if the teacher wants decimals, then keep going, but most would want the exact answer, and that would be this. All right, I hope that helped, and I'll see you next time.